American Truck Simulator. My name is Big Bill. How are y'all doing today? I'm doing well. I'm doing good. Hope y'all had a wonderful week. I hope you guys are going to have a wonderful weekend as today is Friday. Yes, today is Friday, May 29th, 2026. How are y'all doing? Hope you're all doing wonderful. Hope you guys, like I said, had a wonderful week. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And it's good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you guys are watching from. And I hope you guys sit back, relax, and enjoy the views, the sounds, and me talking. The Jeep got out of the way. As yes, we are in part 2. Yes, normally I'm not talking. Part 2 is normally a silent trip, or the silent part of the trip. But if you guys did not watch part 1, there's a link down in the description below. It would also be popping up. It also popped up in the top right hand corner of your screen. This is a part 3 trip. 3-part trip as we are heading from Dodge City, Kansas, Amerigas to Los Angeles, California. We're going to BNSF. We had a great first part of the trip. Hopefully the second part of the trip is even better because number 1, it's mainly all highway from here on out to Los Angeles. Number 2, we're crossing into, well, actually we are in New Mexico now. We'll then be in Arizona, and then probably between here and maybe on the outskirts of Kingman or just before Kingman is where we're going to be stopping. I will hop on the GPS or the map here in a moment. If you don't know where we're hauling, it's always in the top right. It's always in the freaking title. Hauling Chlorine. I love these shots. There we go. So yeah. Weighing in at 34,436 pounds. So, and actually, in fact, I was actually asked this question privately. Yes, this is not actually the right one. Turns out, actually, the game did do that to me, which is shocking because normally the game doesn't do that. But so recently, the other one, the load was actually 3,000 pounds more and actually $12,000 more. So. But it is what it is. I don't know what happened with the game. I know it, when I was trying to record part 1 on Monday, the computer just wasn't working. Like, it didn't want to record it, and then, you know, I kept battling it, and I just gave up and went to work, and then, yeah. So. Yes, if you are new to the channel, the reason I do say part 2 is normally a silent trip is because when we do long trips and it's possible for only a part 1, part 2. Part 1 is me talking, part 2 is the truck just does all its sounds, like all the talking, like the jake brakes, turbo blowing off, like what you guys just heard. Yeah. We want 40. Why are you telling me to get? Must be going through Albuquerque. Yeah, this is Albuquerque. We're just outside Albuquerque here. So, wrong button. Actually, the right button because that stuff went away. Alright, we do have a few things to talk about. Number 1, NASCAR. Especially what happened just last week, even before the race weekend. And once again, I am going to say this, thoughts and prayers are with Samantha and the kids and the entire Bush family and the entire Richard Children's Racing organization and pretty much all motorsports for what happened last week. You know, I do have a lot of good memories of going to the racetrack and watching Kyle Busch, especially when he came here to Pennsylvania. Now, I didn't get to go to the late model races that he was a part of here in Pennsylvania, but busted. Mischief. Where's his car at? Okay, there it is. Did see him win quite a bit. Saw him win at Bristol. Saw him win at Dover with my family, and then saw him win at Pocono. That's right. Love him or hate him. I always respected the man. You know, he was actually one of my, you know, at the time he was one of my least favorite because he kept winning all the time, and you know, my drivers weren't winning. You know, that's the point where I didn't like him because he just kept winning. You know, and the thing for me was, you know, he left Joe Gibbs. Well, Joe Gibbs released him, or however you want to say that. The thing with me was I didn't like the way he left, or I didn't like the way he got out of Joe Gibbs. You know, yeah, he lost sponsorship, but like for the man to be there for over 500 races over at Joe Gibbs Racing, and for all those years, I didn't really like the way, and that's why I started liking Kyle Busch. Like, you know, I felt bad. You know, I was actually thinking he was going to stay in the 18 car the rest of his career, and then all that stuff happened. And then the 18 car disappears, it turns into the 54, you know, all that stuff, and then he goes to the 8 car, and I'm like, well, that's going to help out Richard Children's Racing, and it did. You know, he did very well in that 8 car. Now, yes, they had their ups and downs, but, you know, he did win, I think, 3 times in the 8 car. So, always respected the man, you know. I think one of my favorite things was seeing him and his son racing together on the dirt track. That's what he always wanted to do. And yeah. Now, favorite memory, him in the media, especially after that incident with Joey Logano and the way he responded to the question, everything is fine. You know, I love that post-race, or whatever you want to call it, interview. I love that interview. Like, one of my other favorite ones is when, you know, Dale Jr. came out with slide job. I think that was at Chicagoland. Was he at Chicagoland or somewhere else? But anyway, him and the nickname he gave Kyle Larson, Tiny Kyle, you know, they were going at it, and then, you know, Kyle Busch won, and then you see all the stuff that he did, you know, doing a crying emoji, all that other stuff, you know. So, oh man. Loved his shop, Kyle Busch Motorsports. Actually, today, or actually, yeah, yesterday, I got my Facebook memories of walking through Kyle Busch Motorsports, and whoa, what was that? Damn. No damage. Wow. Are we slowing down, Mazda? Or Subaru, wherever you are? I think it's Subaru. Definitely one of my favorite moments was him and his son hugging after he won the Truck Series race this year, or I think it was either this year or last year, but that was also a cute, cool moment, you know, seeing him and his boy. But yeah, so back to the Facebook memory. So went down to Charlotte for a week, or maybe it was a couple of days. And actually, no, I think that was the year. It was the year I went down there for a whole week, or it was down there. I went down there for a couple of days with my cousin. But went to Kyle Busch Motorsports, and I just loved every minute I was in there. Like the way he had that shop organized, the way it looked, it was a very beautiful shop. Like him and Junior Motorsports, like I love Junior Motorsports when you walk in. You know, yeah, it's been 6 or 7 years since I've been down there, but you know, I would love to take my kid down there. And can you get, like, thank you? Now, granted, we're about to enter Arizona. That's how quick New Mexico is. So. I know Braxton does love racing in Pennsylvania, so can't wait to see him coming over here or coming up to PA to race a little bit, see how that goes. I know him and Kyle. I think they race. Was it Linda's? I think it was Linda's. I forget which track it was. Oh. A, we got lucky because how light this load is, or B, they're closed. And I think it's B. Yeah, they're closed. Most DOT stations are closed about this time. Well, actually, there is night work, or nighttime, sometimes over here where I live. Especially on 83 South going into Maryland, but I think they're not doing night work no more. I think they're just doing day work there at that way station. I don't know. So, anyway, let's get to the racing down there in Charlotte. Well, let's just say this. When it comes to Memorial Day weekend, there's 3 things you look forward to. And that's, well, spending time with family. Thank you, all the service members, for remembering all the service members, men and women who fought for this country. And then the big day, Sunday, where it used to be the Monaco Grand Prix, followed by the Brickyard, followed by the 600. You know, 3 crown jewel races, and the reason I say 3 crown jewel races is because number 1, Monaco is definitely a crown jewel for Formula 1 guys. The Formula 1 guys will all admit it. Like that is hands down a crown jewel event for them. I don't care who you are, they will admit it. Secondly, the thing with me is, okay, and the reason I'm bringing this up is the Brickyard at Indianapolis when IndyCar is there is obviously a crown jewel event for IndyCar. All them drivers will admit it. All the Cup guys who wants to do double duty will admit it. That is a crown jewel race. Now, the Coca-Cola 600 for NASCAR, that is obviously a crown jewel race for the Cup Series. Like all the Cup drivers, even the retired Cup drivers will admit it. Coca-Cola 600 is a crown jewel, you know. Like when they say crown jewel, like they mean the big races, the big ones for certain motorsports, like 24 hours of Le Mans, 24 hours of Daytona, 12 hours of Sebring. I know down in Australia, the Bathurst 1000 for the V8 supercars, the Gold Coast 600 or Gold Coast 500 down there for the supercars. The 12 hours of Bathurst, you know, that's a crown jewel event down there for the GT guys. Even here in NASCAR, you know, Daytona 500, the Brickyard 400, the Coca-Cola 600, the Southern 500. You know, they're all crown jewel events. They're one of the big races, or the biggest races on the schedule that everyone wants to win. You know, but sadly, this year is a little different because F1 changed their schedule around to where Monaco, I think Monaco is either, I forget when Monaco is. But anyway, it used to go Monaco, Brickyard, Coca-Cola 600. Now it went Brickyard, and then in between there, I think it was like towards the end of the Brickyard, and then towards the beginning of the festivities down to Charlotte was the Canadian Grand Prix. This is where which is where F1 was. They're up in Montreal doing the Canadian Grand Prix. Now, I don't know why. I don't know why F1 had to change the schedule, but you know, just didn't feel right. You know what I mean? Especially, you know, with what happened, and then, you know, not being the Monaco Grand Prix, you know, the Canadian Grand Prix. Like, don't get me wrong, that is a very beautiful track, the circuit. Villanova. There we go. Or I can't say his last name, but you know who I'm talking about. So. Alright, we are gonna go around this corner. Okay, we're coming out towards Flagstaff, so game's gonna be a little glitchy. Once again, I don't know why. I did think it was pretty cool that, you know, Spire Motorsports did win the Coca-Cola 600. Daniel Suarez ended up winning that range short race. Like, that's another question I got to ask, you know, how do I feel about the races that happen? Well, here's the thing with me. NASCAR really couldn't move Charlotte around because this weekend coming up, all three series are in Nashville. Now, granted, they're all night races, but, you know, you got to keep the schedule moving. That way you get over to Nashville, get that all set up, you know, get their haulers, get all their truck drivers time to drive over to Nashville. The thing with me was, and I got to ask this question, how did I feel about the O'Reilly series being done at 90 laps? Here's the thing. If you look at the time frame for when they got back to green to when they finished, it was 1 a.m. in the morning. No one was awake. It's not on the CW channel, it's on the CW app. Not everyone has the CW app, by the way. Just saying that for NASCAR. And third of all, you look at Sunday, okay, Truck Series. It was a timed race. Okay, Lane Briggs won. Not a bad race, you know, I was hoping Corey Day would have won. But, you know what I mean? I can see why though. Was I a big fan of it? No. They could have put it to Monday, but the weather down there was not looking promising for Monday, from what I got told. So maybe it's a good thing. It was just a rain-short race, and you know, hey, 91 laps, okay, or 90 laps, okay. We're near halfway. Let's just call it. Give the winner off chassis, which is fine. You know. So. Alright, so we have 7 hours of drive time left. As you see by my clock down there, or by the GPS, we have 7 hours and 22 minutes and 369 miles remaining. Obviously, we have the hours to make it, which we really don't, because of... Dude. Oh, Prius. I hate Priuses. No. One car at a time. Can't park there. I'm sorry. Alright, let's jump on the map real quick. So, plan is, or was, it was to go to here. I might just go there and just say screw it, but that way you guys get a decent short trip out of it. Might go there, actually. What to do, what to do, what to do. Well, actually, if we do go through here, we don't have to stop. So, but then we can make that yellow. But then there's really no point. You might get a shorter part 3 than you think. It's funny to me because one of you actually asked me, hey, how do you actually know it's going to be a part 3? You just, you know, like, yes, I try not to be over 30 minutes. Both these 2 videos, part 1, part 2, are going to be over 30 minutes, I guarantee it. And part 1 was definitely over 30 minutes. Now, there's reasons for it. Yes, we had to stop and get fuel, but, you know, we had to get to a decent destination. That way we weren't on them streets that kept leading to a goddamn traffic light. You know what I mean? So, what to do, what to do, what to do. Let's see what happens here. Now, last time we did go through that, it was pretty quick, so that's why I'm sitting there saying, you know, but screw it. You know, we're not gonna, you know, we're not gonna avoid Interstate 40. We're obviously gonna be taking 40 a bunch. We have obviously taken 40 a bunch of times to get back into Arizona. So that little truck stop we'll probably use. So let's go for that bigger one, just outside of Keeping. We'll go there. Like I said, part 3 will probably be about, I don't know, just under a 20-minute video maybe. So, let's see here. So let's see here. We stop here, get sleep, get back on the road, do that, make this all yellow. Don't gotta worry about way stations. Yeah, we can do that. We can, oh, actually. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll do that. And the only downfall is because we're going to be a little bit further away, you know, we'll have to really look for a decent trip. Watch my GPS, see where it pops up. Now, if I do miss it, or let's say I can't get over, then we'll just go do that, and then it'll be a really short part 3. And part 3 will probably be out. Trying to think of when part 3 is. Part 3 is either going to be out Monday or Tuesday. I'm trying to think of what day I'm going, because this weekend's probably going to be a Word of Outlaws race. Maybe. I don't know yet. I haven't yet decided. But yeah, I admit though, we done pretty well today. And that's the one thing you gotta love about rest areas, is that you're right there on the highway. All you gotta do is just pull right on out. And I did drive by it. It's alright. It's all good. Just to give you an idea. There you go. 5 hours and 44 minutes. Let's pull this back up. 5 hours and 52 minutes. Yeah, we caught it back over GPS, which is, you know, it's a good thing. But the worst thing about that is, obviously, you know, you look at the time now compared to what we have left, okay, that's going to be well over an hour long video. And if we were live, absolutely, I would do that hands down if we were live. But I don't do live videos. Well, I'm thinking about doing some live videos, but, you know. Maybe we'll get lucky here with this border thing, and you know, there might not be that much traffic here. Okay, FedEx is. In the other profile too, and it gets real annoying, especially what that step check just did. Which is those 2 lanes. Only 2 trucks. That's because only them 2 back there. Well, actually 3 of them decided to be numbskulls, but hey, what can I say? You guys get a decent, let's see here. Oh, it won't even be near, well, it might be near a 20-minute video, depending on how far. Hello, Jeff. There's Jeff and Rick. Excuse me, I beat you, so thank you. assuming they want us to enter on this side. I'm assuming. I'm not sure. How about over here? Oh, look at that. Alright, so here, we'll just do this. And get a little closer. There we go. But that's gonna do it for me. Once we pop the brakes. Hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. Hope you guys had a wonderful Friday. And I'll see y'all next time. Alright guys. Alright guys and girls, that's the end of it. Thank you all for the wonderful part 2 and part 1. Obviously part 3 is 5 hours and 8 minutes, probably just under 20-minute video for part 3. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. And I will see y'all next time. Alright guys, thank you for all the love on here on YouTube. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.